Hey guys, it is Mel from Mel Ryan, 100% you, just jumping on for our weekly update. What has been going on this week? There's been a thing around boundaries and check ins. It's the realization that something is going on that we can see perhaps a little bit differently than we haven't seen it before. In quite a few people this week, there was a real theme that came through that no one in their childhood had actually checked in with them when things were going on. Like, how did you feel? Like, are you okay? What's going on for you? And so our takeaway is, oh, I just don't have feelings. I'm not going to acknowledge my feelings. So what's happening at the moment is lots of big feelings of being dismissed or not having our voices, or feeling like when we do the check-in, and that's something we do a lot in here, we can't find what that feeling is because we've denied ourselves being able to have the feeling, because there's a real shame or guilt around allowing yourself to have feelings that might be detrimental to someone else. And so we don't hold the space for ourselves very well at all. And so moving the blocks away from being able to see what's really going on underneath your story. And of course, it's different for everyone. But the theme is we want to find out more about ourselves in a way of, why do I do the things I do, but why do I keep doing the things I do, instead of not just the one answer, but what's the deeper answer under that? And it's super liberating when we get to the point that it makes sense. So, two takeaways for you from that. One would be moving away from the rules and how we think that we should expect ourselves to respond to something, and just be curious to how we really do respond to something. Imagine if someone put their little arm around you and said, "Hey, are you okay? What's going on? What do you need? What's happening for you right now?" That's often something that we weren't asked. And so being able to make the space to ask that for ourselves, this is when we're really being able to hold the space to listen to what our answer is, because we've not been taught we're allowed to do that. In this situation that's going on, do I need to acknowledge how I feel? Which most often is a yes, because there'll be things going on underneath that are unsettling us, or we're holding expectations for ourselves or other people that are really not helping us be present or enjoy the situation that we're in. The next question is, how I am feeling telling me something? Is what a beautiful question that is, because it's really being able to check in to go, is there something going on that I know is underneath, but I've not actually taken the time to recognize what that is? And so it's sitting in that moment to just really hold the space for ourselves. And the last and most favorite beautiful question that I have, it's like, do I need to do something differently right now to support me? Because often we've never allowed ourselves to have the need in having the problem that we are having, because we haven't found it, if that makes sense. So as an example, when I get home from work and I really want to rest or sit down or give myself that evening to tuck myself in a little bit, and then I find myself at 9:30 mopping the floor or cleaning out my fridge. And so this has been an ongoing thing for quite a few clients. And we're like, when we look at that, it's being able to pull that backwards with all those questions. And then, do I need to do something differently to support me? With a couple of people, we've come up with this beautiful concept that's like tools down. So if you think about, if you're a tradie and it gets at 35 degrees, there's a tools down rule. You have to have tools down. Or if you get to say 30 in the afternoon and work ends, you can't take work home if you're a tradie. So because of that, the tools down means that we assign ourselves a time that we're going to go to in work or doing things around the house or whatever when we get home. But you have the tools down time, which could be 8 o'clock. And then you sit and you listen to music, or you read your book, or you do something different that is a real nourishing, pulling energy, pulling love, pulling self-care all the way in. And so when we ask that question, do I need to do something differently? It's really getting creative in what is it that we are going to do differently that's going to help us and support us to break the pattern that we're doing, that is that old way that we do things that blocks us from actually enjoying life, being there for ourselves, finding the joy, doing the things that make life much more enjoyable, and moving away from the shoulds and the have tos, and just being able to find more connection and more joy in the space and time we have without having to change too much about it. So that's what was coming up this week with a lot of people, it is boundaries and the check in. So both of them combined, have a think in your life. Is it something that you can introduce in a much more self supportive way by doing a more thorough check in, by really putting your arm around yourself, going, "Hey, are you okay? What's going on for you right now?" And then that beautiful question, when I acknowledge how I feel, is that feeling telling me something about me? What's really going on? Because let me tune into that. And then thirdly, do I need to do something different to support myself? Get creative in that. We do have some really surprising and interesting ways that we can come back to support ourselves properly. So that is me for this week. There's lots of exciting things coming up from my end. There's a beautiful quiz that is coming out that's going to really help you learn how to understand your self-abandonment patterns. I think that's such a beautiful thing that we can all get better at understanding about ourselves. So I've been working really hard on the background in that, as well as there's lots of workshops. If you really want to have a topic that you're struggling with, send me a DM and I can recommend a couple of workshops that will really help support you to get through it at the time. So that is my update for this week. So I hope you all have a beautiful week. Remember, choose kindness. Being kind is the way that we can make a difference in the